Hello everyone, this is Miguel Greenberg, and today we are going to talk about internal server errors in Flask. This is a question that I get a lot. Many times beginners, when they're following a tutorial, a Flask tutorial, they get this internal server error and they ask me how to fix it, how to fix an internal server error. Um, so what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to try to give you a few pointers so that you understand why this error occurs and then what to do next as a step in fixing the error in the application. Um, so as an example, here I have, this is the application from the Flask mega tutorial. And here, let's say I'm playing with the application and everything seems to work. And then I decide to check out the Explore link. And when I click there, boom, I get the dreaded internal server error. So beginners are very confused about this because this is an error that doesn't give you any information. This is a very terse screen. There is zero details about what happened. You just know that something didn't work. So what you need to keep in mind is that Flask and many other web frameworks use the internal server error, sort of an umbrella error that catches any conditions or problems that occur with your application. So Flask doesn't know who's using the application. It might be a user. It doesn't know that it is you, the developer. So just as a precautionary measure, it doesn't show any details about the application on the web browser. And this is why you get this screen that doesn't give you any information. All that you know is that something failed. So what do you do when you get this? What you need to do is you need to go to the terminal session in which you are running the Flask server. So I'm going to go there right now. And here you can see that in the log from the Flask server, there is a stack trace. And this is the actual error. This is the error that caused the internal server error page to show up on the web browser. So really, to fix the internal server error, what you need to do is you need to research this stack trace and figure out what failed in the application. So in general, I start reading Python stack traces from the bottom, and here in the last line you can see exactly what happened. Here I'm trying to access the arg attribute from the request object, and obviously I made this on purpose. The attribute is called args in plural, and because of this typo I get the error. So what I will do now is I will edit this source file, and you can see the source file right here. So this is the last coming from the bottom. This is actually the first from the bottom. The first of the files mentioned in the stack trace that is in the application. You can see that the previous one is inside Vergsoy, which is a Flask dependency. So you look for your source code, you look for the line, and you can see in this line I'm doing request.arg instead of request.args, which is what I should be doing. So I will go edit this line 54 in routes.py, and then everything will work. So I want to show you one more thing. You may find this inconvenient if you are the developer, you're working on your application, you're doing everything yourself in your own computer. You may find it inconvenient that you need to switch between the browser and the terminal whenever an error happens. So Flask has a mode in which it can show you this same information in the web browser. This is called the debugger, the Flask debugger. So let's go ahead and turn that on so that you can see how that looks. It is a little bit more convenient actually. So to do that, you need to set an environment variable that tells Flask that you want debug mode enabled. So the variable is called flaskenv, and I'm going to set it to development, and this is what sets debug mode. So If you are on a Mac or Unix machine, you could do it like this. This sets the environment variable for the process that you're running here. If you prefer to set it permanently, you can do export flaskenv equals development, and then run flask run separately in the next line. And then finally, if you're on Windows, you will do set flaskenv equals development, and then after that you run flask run on a separate command. So either way, they all are going to end up defining this variable when flask run starts. And now you can see that when I run this, I get debug mode on. This indicates that the debugger is enabled. So let's go back to the browser. Let's go to home page and let's click explore one more time. And now I get this nicer output, which of course this should only be done when you are developing your application locally. Never, ever, ever enable this on a application that is deployed for people to use. So never when you have this on the internet. This is actually very dangerous. It may allow an attacker to run code on your server. So under any circumstance, never enable this. It did happen. There's been attacks for servers that had this enabled. You can Google it. You'll find information about very popular, very well-known companies that had this problem in the past. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, when you do it locally, this is totally safe. And here you can see the stack trace presented in a nicer format. You can see the same lines in the stack trace. The actual error is mentioned at the bottom, so it's all the same. The additional things that you can do here, for example, let's find, so this is the line of the error. So I can open the code. It allows you to see a little bit of the code. You can see some context, and also you have this terminal option. You can open a terminal that, if for the same reason of security, is locked with a pin. So I'm going to go back to my terminal, and this needs to be done once. I'm going to take the pin from the flask run command and enter it here. Just paste it, and now once that is enabled, I can open a terminal session here, and for example, I can query things. So request is my request object. Request.arg is not available. I get another stack trace, and if I do request.args, I get the correct output, which is what I should have done in this code. So these are the two options when you are developing. So what do you do when you have a Flask application deployed for production? Obviously, you're not going to enable this. So on your production version, the user, if it hits an error, is going to see either the internal server error page or maybe a customized page, because Flask allows you to customize the internal server error page as well as many other errors. So you can create your own page for this error and all the others. But that's all they're going to see. They're not going to see any information about the error. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that the output that goes normally out on the terminal, so this output that you get on the terminal when you run for development, that needs to go to a log file. So you are going to have a log file, and then whenever there's an error, the stack trace will be logged. So you're going to have the log file to go check for errors. In addition to that, you can do some fancier things, like, for example, send yourself an email whenever there's an error and include the stack trace in the email. You can do that too. So I'm not going to do that in this video, but my Flask mega tutorial does cover all these options. You are going to learn how to set up your logging for production, and also how to get an email if the application fails in production. So anyway, I hope This helps reduce the number of people who ask me how to fix an internal server error. Hopefully everything is more clear now, and you will be able to debug these errors on your own and figure out what the mistake is. Thank you so much. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.